Taya o tanua kotou tokongo ko Sony au se tangata mai Nukuoro ai auero te taranga o Nukuoro. Tahai, te hai ne hakatua kai Nukuoro, te rua, te hai ne toa te ango Nukuoro, ko te pē, toru, ko te hai o tangata ni rau mai ka tāmata te noho I honga te Nukuoro. Good morning. My name is Johnny. I'm from Nukuoro in the Federated States of Micronesia. And today I'm going to share the history, part of the history of Nukuoro, how the island of Nukuoro was developed, and how the black pearl shell planted on the island of Nukuoro, and how the people started to come to settle on the island of Nukuoro. Long time ago, there was a family, man named, his name was Dei Barik, and his 2 wives and his 14 sons. They sailed from the open heaven out in the open sea, and they were searching for a place to plant the black pearl, or else the oyster. Then as they travel over the open sea, they happened to spot a place that they thought would be the best place to plant the pearl on earth. The pearl actually, this family came from the rainbow, and they brought the pearl oyster, and they were searching to a place to plant the oyster. So when you look at the pearl, it carries all the colors of the rainbow. And so what happened as they come around the open sea in the Pacific Island, they saw a spot and they wanted to see if this is the right place for the pearl. So they came and settled in an ocean, no land, no reef, no nothing, but just a blue ocean. And so by looking at it, and they said, this is the right spot, this is the right spot. And then they do their ritual, magic and all this thing, and there it happened that the reef was started to grow, to develop. And then as soon as the reef developed, it was a round reef. They didn't build any land. They just built the reef and they planted the oyster in the reef. And then when they achieved their mission, they move on. And then over time, I would say centuries after centuries, and there was a man came also looking for a place to settle, and his name was Soko. Soko, as he was looking for a place, he came to see the reef. And when he looked at it, he was interested in, taking more view of the reef. So he came down to the reef. He was carrying a basket of sand with him. And as he stood on the reef, he looked out to the long distance. He thought he wanted to walk on the reef. So he started walking. As he was walking, sand from his basket started falling off. And at the end of the reef, the basket of the sand was empty. And he turned around. When he turned around, he looked back and he saw the islets of Nukuoro was built. And so he came backward, and then he selected to settle in the biggest island of Nukuoro, the biggest island I'm in. So he went and settled in a place called Roto Arohi, just right in the middle of the main island. So that's where he settled. He was settled there, and he stayed there, and over time, more evil. Soko considered as a spirit. And then as he settled there and stay over time, there are more spirit flow in to settle on the island. And Soko was the chief of all those spirits because he was first settled there, and he was the one who planted those islands. And so those those spirits came to stay with him. And then one day there was two brothers, two sons of a king from Samoa. In that place they call Manua in Samoa. After the king died, the eldest son should be the king, but the younger one wanted to be the king. So they were kind of, talking to each other disappointedly because the oldest son, believed that he should be the king, and the youngest one wanted to take that rights away from him and wanted to be the king. So they agreed that they will fight, not to fight and kill each other, but to wrestle. Whoever the winner is, stay and be the king of Samoa. The loser have to leave Samoa and never return. So what happened? They fought. And when they fought, the younger one lost the fight. Then he has to leave with his wife, his wife's father, and relatives and friends. So they prepared themselves on a canoe called Haurua in Hawaii. The canoe in Hawaii, they name it Haurua. And that's the kind of canoe that they sail from Samoa through all the Pacific, most of the Pacific island, and finally settle in Nuku'oro. What happened when they fought, the younger one lose, and he has to leave the island of Samoa. And as they come to they discover a number of islands, but it was not to his satisfaction. He didn't like those islands. So they continued to search. And then sailing for numbers of moons, they call numbers of moon in our version, meaning, it's a long journey, okay? So they came to discover Kapingamarangi, the island of Kapingamarangi. And then Vave, as you look at Kapinga, it seems like he liked the island. He wanted to have that island. He wanted to own it. And so he decided ways in order to take away the rights and to be the powerful person on that island. As they settled there, he tried his best to take away that power, but unsuccessfully. After a couple of moons, he decided that he's a navigator, and the people that came with him should go out to the ocean and continue searching if they could locate some other islands. But he want to stay back in Kapinga because he really want to, own the island of Kapinga. As the group left the island of Kapinga, he stayed behind and he worked a lot of effort in order to take power of that island, but still unsuccessful. And then one day, his friends that sail away to the ocean, they happened to locate Nuku'oro, and they came to Nuku'oro. And as they came through the channel, on the channel there are islands on the side of the both sides of the channel. They sort of bring themselves to one of those islands and try to settle there just to relax from the long journey. And they tied their canoe, the haurua, to some big rocks and corals, and they offload not many fish, but the fish that they caught on the way to cook and eat. And as they make the fire and start cooking, they look out and their canoe was flown away from them. And they have to swim, they have to jump into the water and swim and bring it back. And they retied it again, make sure that it doesn't, because they didn't believe it was the evil that came and untied it. So they tied it stronger, and they came shore and then settled, and all of a sudden the same thing happened. And they continued to do that for numbers of time, and they believed that some power is there bothering them, disturbing them. Uh, they got scared, but they found out that the place, Nukoro, is, fit to their view. They like it. They wanted to stay there because a lot of food, a lot of fish, and, beautiness of the island. But they cannot. So they have to return back to Kapinga to report to Wabe, which is the name of the brother that was lost, the fight. So when they came to Kapinga and they reported to him and said, "Sir, there's an island very close to here, very similar to this, but so beautiful, and a lot of food to eat and a lot of fish, but there's no human being on that island." And then Wabe was kind of pick up the area, says there is no human being. And he said, "Are you telling me that there is no human being, no people there?" And then the reporter says, "Yes." And he said, "So that's mean that island is mine. By no means, let's go for it." So he ordered that everybody board the Haurua, and they sailed back to Nukoro. As they come toward the island of Nukoro after many moons, he ordered the magician on board, says, "Now, do your thing, okay, to find out what must be done in order for me to take control of this island and be the king of this island." So the magician worked his ways and things that he ought to do, and then finally he gave order. He said, "As we come through the channel, Wabe, we have to stop and separate the canoe," meaning dismantle, because there were two canoes tied together, one used as the canoe, the other used as the dam. So they untied it, and he ordered Wabe, "You sail one and lead. Your son will sail the other one to follow you, and then we'll go through the lagoon. And as soon as I call out stop, both canoes have to turn back, completely turn back to the main island, and then sail toward the island separately." Okay? And he continued giving out order to Wabe. And he said, "As soon as you two landed on the beach, both of you get off of each boat and then walk toward each other. And when you meet each other, you, Wabe, work toward inland, and your son walk toward sunset. And then when your son walk toward sunset, and if the ocean touches his knees, he should shout, and you inland mark the boundary." And then the son followed the instruction, the father followed the instruction of the magician. They went and they landed at a place called Manugua and Sahui on the island of Nukoro. And they got off of their canoe and walked toward each other by following the instruction. And then when they met in a place called Savai. Okay? And they walked away from each other. One walked toward the ocean where the sunset sets, and one walked toward inland where the sun rises. Okay? And as soon as the ocean touches the son's knees, he shouts, and the father, who was Wabe, marked the boundary. And then they came together and they walked toward and marked the boundary on east and west. So that boundary is where we call Marae. In all the Polynesian places and islands where there's Marae, which is the temple place. And that's what they call the temple place, called Marae. And then they settle and clean and set up houses. Savai, almost this name can be found in many of the Polynesian islands. And Marae is found also in many of the Polynesian islands. And that is the story, briefly, this morning for you. Thank you.